We're back to talking about 9-game SEC schedules and now 16-team college football playoffs. It's Big Monday. Let's do it. Good morning, and welcome back to Rise and Shine's Big Monday. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. I will have two guests on shortly. But if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button. Like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. Welcome to the show, everybody. Logan Licky, Sooners for life. Good morning. Welcome into the show, gentlemen. Glad to see everybody in here. Make sure you wipe your feet when you come in. Check in, too. Check in. Let us know you're here. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's weekend? Hope everybody had a good Mother's Day with the mom in their life. Yeah. How about those Thunder last night? Big win for them. What a game. What a game it was kind of ugly, but they got it done. And it kind of feels like it was one of those games that you needed them to show up in if they were going to. It's one of those games that you can kind of push forward. I loved it. It was fun. Fun watch. All right. I don't have a ton of people in here yet. Come on. We'll talk a little bit about Oklahoma until we get these guys in here. Got a couple of things we could talk about too. Really. Let's see. There we go. Need some Hall of Fame insight today. Good. Well, welcome into the show, sir. D, what up, dog? Neilio, my man. How we doing this morning, gentlemen? Glad to see everybody in here. Who in here saw Josh Pate's post-spring top 25? Whoa. Top 10. Top 10. He still had Texas too high, but he had Oklahoma in the top 10. I think it's officially factual that there's no way that Oklahoma's sneaking up on anybody this year, but that's all right. It's kind of how it is. Let's see. What up? Hey, Kimberly K. We had a great time with my mom celebrating my girl along with family out of state. Hey, man, that's cool. What a weekend. That sounds cool. Good stuff. Congratulations once again, Kimberly K, on graduating a daughter. One down, one to go, huh? Good stuff. Charles, what's up, man? What's up? Good to see you. But yeah, so I think it's pretty clear that there's still some people sleeping, but when Josh Pate, who's basically the number one college football guy on YouTube, especially, and I think really he's probably the most popular one out there at all. He ranks him in the top 10, says he expects a lot. He had Florida at number 9. I mean, really, if you take a look at what I had, he had Clemson number 1, Texas 2, Penn State 3, Bama 4. I had 3 of the 4 the same in the top 4. No Texas, obviously. I had them at 11. But then LSU in the top 5, Notre Dame at 6, Oregon, Ohio State, Florida. Then Oklahoma. So he only did a top 20. Had Georgia behind OU. Shawty will be in here, I believe, in a few minutes. We'll have to give him some shit about that. Then he's got Miami at 12, Arizona State, A&M at 14, basically, I just had A&M and Oklahoma swapped for him. 15 is Illinois, 16 is Ole Miss. 17 Georgia Tech, 18 South Carolina. That more aligns with what I was thinking too, as well. So, yeah. Hold on real quick. We got one of our guests here. Welcome into the show. From Just My Damn Opinion, my man, Shawty Parker. How's your trading this morning, bro?
Man, listen, I'm glad you sent me that text, man, because I was trading a few options and man, I was being greedy. I'm glad that text came through because it helped me get on up out of there. But
Did it? You were getting a little greedy?
Yeah, it was a good morning though. Good morning for sure. Quick 40 minutes. I made more than I would have went to work today.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's good times. It's good times. You can make that money without going to work. I like it. I like it. Well, welcome into the show, man. We were just kind of talking about, well, old Pate, everybody's favorite college football guy, putting out his top 20. He only did top 20. But man, yeah. Oklahoma in the top 10, Georgia at 11, right behind OU. Then Miami, Arizona State. Go ahead.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he was good. Well, I don't know what it looks like. I haven't seen a whole lot of anybody killing him so far on Twitter the way they did me with my list. Of course, it was just Texas fans that did it. Nobody else was tripping.
Just being, truly being honest now, are we about to get into his list? Is that where we're on right now?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about just while I was waiting on you guys to get here. We got some other stuff we can talk about, but we can talk about that.
Yeah, try to be as unbiased as I can. Arguably, the list that he has, I mean, you can argue for anybody in there.
Yeah.
Except two teams.
What's I knew that's where you were headed. I knew that's where you were headed, dog. That's some funny shit. Yeah, well, listen, I think Oklahoma's got a better defense. So
yes,
and
so does Florida.
Well, then how's it different? How's it wrong?
No, I didn't. Well, I'm just agreeing to you. I think both of these teams that you mentioned have better defenses. That don't got nothing to do with them being in the top 10.
Well, but I mean, and I think this is the general consensus around Oklahoma anyway. And I think it's starting to. That's what I was saying, that we were hoping that it would kind of stay a secret, and people would keep on sleeping on OU. I think more than anything, but I think everybody knows that they're going to be a damn sight better on offense than they were last year. They don't really have to be top 10 to do anything. I think with the defense, if it plays the way we expect it to, and I believe that, I think it's going to be one of the best defenses in the country, period. I think Notre Dame probably has the best defense in the country. It didn't, not by a ton. I think Georgia's right there. Florida's right there. Oklahoma's right there. I know Texas says they're right there. They replaced a lot of guys. I know they've got a lot of good players, but I still think that they're good. There's so many things that have to go right for them to stay in that area of going back to the semifinal and all that kind of stuff. It's
I look at things like this right here. We're talking about the SEC, which I think for the most part, most people think that we're the best conference in the nation. So when we're talking about nationally, I compare my team to our peers because we are the best in the nation. So I don't really talk about it nationally. I just look at it from a conference standpoint.
Yeah.
So it's just hard for me to look at that list that he had, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I have to go back and look at it. But looking at that list and saying that Georgia is the 6th best team in the conference.
Well, that's it. Oklahoma would be 5th. And so, I mean, yeah, I can understand having a hard time with that because it's tough to, I think let me see if I can find his graphic because I just was writing it down when I was watching it because I was laughing.
But as we were just saying, like I say, but arguably, but honestly, the list I saw it. And I actually watched a lot of the video that he had.
I watched it too. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, with so much uncertainty especially when we talk about the most important position, in my opinion, which is the trigger man. We have so many new trigger men in this conference, so it's a lot of uncertainty. So I can understand why, you know, a lot of people doing a lot of juggling with this list, and you can argue for, you know, whomever you want.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's the rankings. He's got, obviously, like as I said, Clemson, Texas, Penn State, Bama, LSU, Notre Dame, Oregon, Ohio State. I think he's got Ohio State low. But because I think they have the best player on defense, and I think they have the best player on the offense. I mean, I don't think that there's, you know, they do have a new trigger man, and I mean, you know, it's Julian. If whether it's Julian Sayin or the other guy, I think he's gonna be new. So
we have a new crown Big Ten champion, is what he's saying. All of a sudden, they giving James Franklin love. They ain't won nothing ever.
Yeah, I know, and it's so crazy because if I'm Oregon, I'm madder than shit about the way that it went last year when I won the damn game in the Big Ten championship game, and my second game or my first game is against Ohio State, who had a warm up the week before.
But the fact that that's who I even have to play, why would I even be seeded to play them in that slot? Period.
In the Rose Bowl, somewhere that, you know, Ohio State is not, you know, they've been there a few times. You know what I mean? They kind of know the place. Not a home game. Yeah, it's kind of been. Look, I think, I'd be pissed if I was Oregon. I'd be pissed if I was Oregon about that. And again, I still would. I mean, we were talking about Indiana getting in against Notre Dame. You know, hell, they didn't even beat a bowl team last year. They didn't even beat a bowl team.
And they're not even on his list this year, are they? So that's the biggest fall off of any team on his list.
I think, yeah, and I don't know I don't know if they'd be in his top 25 because he only did 20. But so he's got, I think everybody's been moving Illinois into that spot. Most people have been.
But why wouldn't you have Arizona State in there? They have the most returning production coming back, I would think. If I'm right.
They're number 13.
So, okay. It's too small. I can't. Oh, okay, I see.
Here, let me blow it up a little bit.
I see. I was like, where's Arizona State with all that returning production coming back? Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All
right. You see it better now?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, Arizona State. Yeah, they've got, I think, number 2 returning production in the country or something like that. It's right there. Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing about Texas is they're in the hundreds in returning production. Hundreds. You know, so that just tells you that you got a lot of things that are going to have to go perfect. Arch is going to have to be damn good.
I think Texas is really just based off of, you know, I was having this conversation with a friend the other day. I think Texas is really based off of what they've been doing in recruiting and from a roster standpoint. Because I tell people a lot of time, when you're talking about recruiting, you don't really get to see the fruits of your recruiting labors to like year 3 or 4 and 5. That's when you start really seeing the labor of your, you know what I'm saying, recruits.
He's definitely been recruiting great. I mean, they've definitely been doing that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why they're getting so much love. Plus, they got probably the easiest schedule amongst the big dogs in the conference.
They do. Except, well, we say that they're going to get Ohio State first. Then they get Florida right before the Oklahoma game. Oklahoma's getting Kent State the week before. So, I mean, I already thought Oklahoma was winning the game this year. Now I really do. Because I don't know if they win or don't win in the Swamp. It's a tough place for people. I mean, you know, Tennessee hasn't won in there in 25 damn years.
So you're upping Oklahoma's percentage at winning based off of where they fit in at the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Oklahoma would have a really good shot anyway because it's a rivalry game. It just happens, right? But I would say that, you know, we can pull up that. I've got that schedule here too, but
I think that's a great point that a lot of people don't look at. It's all a lot of our conference has to do with who you play the week before.
Who do you got the week before and where? Absolutely, man. When do your buys pop in?
Right.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of that it's there's a lot to be said for that. Let me pull it over here too.
What up, T Boomer? I see you in the comments. Shout out to T Boomer.
What's up, fellas? What's up, everybody? T Boomer. We got a few that came in a little later. Let's see. T Boomer, Greg Ray. Christopher Shannon, Brandon Snake, Killer Horse.
Not Killer Horse.
There's old Mizzou Rob. There's old Mizzou Rob. In there talking.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Killer Horse.
I like that.
Yeah, he's a trip, dude. All right, so we got switch Clemson with Notre Dame, says Sooners for life. Yeah, I get it. I mean, here's the thing, and I know a lot of people are not really I know there's still people that don't believe in Notre Dame. You know, I don't know what else you're supposed to do but beat Georgia.
Okay, hold on. Let's stop right there. I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Because I want to say this, and I'm just being fair. Because I hear this on a lot of these shows, mainly your show too.
Yep.
Notre Dame ain't did it but 1 year. They don't have one, I guess you want to say, astounding year. Now all of a sudden they there now.
Marcus Freeman's won 10 games every year he's been there. And then he went to the Natty, and they didn't really lose much other than that quarterback that couldn't throw. I think whoever they get, they've got the best running back. They got the best running back tandem in football.
Okay.
Jeremiah Love coming back. I just said I feel like they probably have the best defense in college football. If not the best, it's right there, top 2, 3, whatever. And I think, you can interchange the top 5. It's all the same shit, right? But in the end, they play really good defense. They absolutely have the best offensive line in the country.
Can I comment on here, Jace, in the comments?
I pulled it.
I don't see. I just want to respond to some of the people in the comments. They giving me shout outs. So shout outs to everybody in the comments. Appreciate y'all here.
Yeah, let me. I'll just pull that. We're done with that poll anyway, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, I'm rolling with you. I'm on your shift.
Yep. But anyway, so I mean, to me, I can see look, they hadn't won a national championship in a long ass time, but I think Marcus Freeman's doing things different there. They're recruiting on a different level there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not telling you I want them to win because I don't, but I'm going to tell you I think that they're good. I think that they're right there.
Yes, I agree. I'm just talking about in terms of, are we talking about, and this is a term that Josh used in the video, and I think this is where a lot of people get things confused, and I'm glad he brought this up. Now, we're talking about them having a good team, we're talking about the program. Yeah. So the program has always been good, but they haven't had great teams. That's all. Not in a long time. So that's what I'm saying about Notre Dame. Now all of a sudden, are they great now? They haven't done anything to show me that they're great. They beat us. Granted, I just don't think it was.
You didn't have the number 1 quarterback, but still got you.
Yes. I'm not making any excuses.
I mean, who the hell else is beating you guys other than SEC teams?
A lot of teams could have beat us with the predicament we was in.
I'll give you that. And I'm saying, but the point is that like, who the hell else have y'all lost to in the last 4 years aside from Alabama?
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? So, you got to give them credit for what they did. And I'm just saying, he definitely doesn't make the excuses that we're used to hearing Brian Kelly talking about them shopping in a different aisle and shit like that, and how it's just a different deal for them. I don't know, man. Again, they've got so much coming back, and I think that they've gotten better. Mm-hmm. Denbrock being able to kind of move, and they got some more receivers to go with Jaden Greathouse. I think they're better. That the places that you wanted to see them do better, mm-hmm. I think they did. They've Lloyd Carr's grandson is probably going to be the starter, and he can spin it. He's not a runner like Riley Leonard. They don't need a runner like Riley Leonard. They need to give the ball to their backs, But they run the ball well, and I think that's the other thing. You talk about the pro style yourself. When you can run downhill and keep teams off the field, you shorten the game. You got a chance. With that defense, you got a chance.
I agree with you 100%. The only thing that I would retort to that and say is this is right here is that, people have to understand that, we don't live in this microcosm bubble. True. Everything that Notre Dame did to work on their deficiencies, whatever they may have done, the mm-hmm. other big boys have done the same thing. So don't think they the only one that got better in position that they needed to get better at. So we have to keep that in mind. Like, we're not the only team, or you're not the only team that has improved in the offseason or tried.
That's true. And I think that a lot of times we do forget that as fans, that we just think, okay, yeah, we did so much better and it's going to be just like last year or whatever. I think if Oklahoma fans learned anything, it should have been that. I mean, you could have had a really good football team last year. The injuries kept you from doing any of that. And then of course, bad play calling from a awful offensive coordinator. Awful. You know, that's the worst offense at Oklahoma in at least since the mid 90s, at least. So, and you know, they've had a couple of years here and there where they weren't fantastic, but I've never seen, it's almost like you've never seen it before. You know what I mean? It's just,
you guys are definitely expecting more balance.
oh yeah. Well, I mean,
the offensive and defensive perspective.
Absolutely. Well, you look at, they go out and, I mean, they got Torrey Blaylock, who I think is one of the best freshmen in the country. I think at some point this year, he's going to make a big move. But they went and got Jay Knott, who was an All-American 2 years ago. He's had 3 years of college football, and parts of 3 years of college football. He's got 3,000 yards from scrimmage, 30 touchdowns, and not a single fumble. You know, he's coming in to be a lead dog type of back. You still have Taylor Tatum there. You still have Xavier Robinson there. And again, I think that Torrey Blaylock could end up being a big piece there. The other part is your receivers, by and large, well, I mean, Giovanni got hurt already, and I think that Giovanni's going to be fantastic. But and it looks like he could be back first week even. I would be okay if he waited till like week 3 or 4 and started ramping up for Texas. You know what I mean? But I think that if he's ready, he's ready. I think he's going to be a big-time player. Deion Burks, we're hoping he's healthy because he's explosive. But you got more of these big cats on the edges than what you're used to having. Even some of the freshmen they're talking about a lot. That, I mean, the last one I've been hearing a lot about what's his name? Oh, dang it. Well, they've got Elijah Thomas, who's been really good he was good all spring, but they've been talking a lot about Manuel Choice. Another 6'4" guy, he's stud athlete, got some speed to him. I mean, in the SEC, I think those are the guys you got to have as those big body cats, right? You can get a speed guy like Deion Burks, a small speed guy, but you better have some big boys to go with them.
Well, that helps. So, to that point, that's what I say about our particular team this year when we talk about other teams improving. So, it's no secret. We had arguably the worst receiving core in the country last year because we led the nation in drops with 38, 39 drops. So, with that being said, we went out and got 2 big body receivers. The guy from Texas Tech, 6'6", 6'5". We got the guy from Miami coming back, Kobe. Who's 6'4". So to your point, I think those big bodies help. A lot of people don't realize how much that helps in the run and the screen game, right?
Sure.
Last year we were throwing screens and we had 5'9" guys out there like me, 5'10" guys out there trying to block. And you don't have blocking on the perimeter. That hurts you breaking big runs in the run game.
Yeah, even if they're not super physical, as if they're big and can kind of stay in front of somebody a little bit.
Exactly. That's my point. Just box out. And now your quarterback don't have to be as accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. Chicken. What up, Chicken? Good to see you, man. Ronnie Wheat. Let's see. No Southern Cal in his group. What's up, TP? Yeah, so that was Josh Pates. Yeah, and look, I mean, in the end, I mean, none of it matters. Shit. We were talking about it last night before, this is all conjecture and you never know what's going to happen. I did find it interesting that I'm one of the few people that's had South Carolina anywhere further down in the list that I've seen. Everybody's got them up around 10, somewhere in that top 10 even. I like their quarterback too, but I don't think, you know what? Stat Guy sent me a message the other day on in the comment section and was talking about the thing is he's going to have to win games by himself. That wasn't what he had to do last year. So now it's, he was a compliment to that defense. They lost a lot off of that defense, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, even just losing the other edge of the NFL, that rookie kid he was a baller, but there's not going to be no double teams on the other side anymore, bro. They're coming to you until somebody else shows that they can do it. And I still just think game situation-wise, Beamer sucks. It's
Yeah,
just
he's never impressed me with the X's and O's. I don't think he's an X's and O's kind of guy. It's more about the staff he puts around
he's
him.
more about mayonnaise and shit like that and arguing with people. That's
I don't know,
stupid.
but they are an interesting team. I know they lost a
Yeah.
lot, but again, having a great trigger man can win you a few games that you normally
But is
lose.
he a great trigger man or is he just a great athlete?
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. A little bit of both.
I think he's good. I like Lenorse. Don't get me wrong. I like Lenorse. I'd like him a lot more if he didn't play for Beamer.
Fair enough.
I think I'd like him a lot more if he didn't play for Beamer. But I think he's a stud. There's
And
no two ways around it. But can he step up and win games where they don't win them in those certain situations? I don't know.
it'll be hard to replicate what they did last year. What they got? 8 wins, 9 wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be hard to replicate that for sure.
They got 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were 9-3.
Okay.
I mean, they thinking that, but what bothered me, thinking they had an argument to go to the playoff. They didn't. They lost to both of those other 9-3 teams. Those games have to matter, bro.
Yeah.
Those games have to matter. That's where I'm at on it. I mean, South Carolina, you got to sit out. You know what I mean? You lost both them games.
That's how everybody feel once they get hot to us. They get on a little winning
You're the hottest team in the country.
Yeah, I knew it. Everybody get hot at the end and think they're a playoff team. That's how.
I know. And you know what? Maybe they were, except that they went and laid an egg against Illinois, and he acted a fool then there too. Come on.
Yeah, in South Carolina, that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. We talking about program or just you had a good team. Because if you got a good program, we expect you to come back in that 8, 9, 10 win range if you had a good program. But you just had a good team last year. You haven't had a good program.
Ever. The closest was when Spurrier was there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it was hit and miss.
I think
not as bad as it is now, but it was hit and miss still. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. You like Barnes for RB2? I think that, I don't know about all that. The dude don't stay healthy, man. And I think he's been over-recruited at this point. I think he has. But anyway, getting back to, Oklahoma, I think, like I said, they're not sneaking up on anybody at this point. I think you're hoping that the biggest thing is I think you're waiting to see, does John Mateer make that transition into the big boy league? I don't think he has to have 44 touchdowns. I think that they need to be, I think he could have 15 less and they're going to be pretty good.
If he do, he'll be sitting at the Heisman thing toward the end of the year.
If he has 44 touchdowns, Oklahoma's probably playing deep in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
As a matter of fact, so I'm glad. So what would you think? Again, we just spitballing. What's a competent year for him for you guys to win 10 plus games? 3,000 yards, 2,800 yards.
Yeah, I think he'll get to 3,000 total yards for sure. He was over 4,000 total yards last year, but again, obviously playing in the SEC is different, and they're playing the toughest schedule in the SEC. So, I don't know. I'm looking at it though. Bama's defense is scary good. Tennessee's retooling. I guess Auburn's supposed to be pretty decent on defense. They were they were physical last year, but we'll see. I think that, but they're coming to Norman and Jackson Arnold playing. I think they're going to feast on that poor bastard if they even play him. And it doesn't sound like he's had the easiest spring with Deuce Knight behind him either. So I don't know, man. It could be, you may not even get to see him, but I think that they're dangerous because Hugh Freeze is kind of fighting for his job. Mm-hmm. I'm still going to sit here and tell you, I don't think they're firing BV. I think he'd have to go 5-7, 4-8. They're not going to pay him $35 million to walk. And then lose all your roster. And it would cost them $100 million to get rid of the staff. I'm just not buying it. I don't see it.
Let me ask you, has money ever been a problem for Oklahoma? No,
it's not a big problem, but you also, this has never been a time where you were spending this kind of money either.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I just don't see him. I think that we saw last year that there were people that there were even boosters that wanted him gone. But I would tell you that when it all came down to it, they didn't want to. They would rather put that money into NIL money than to pay his buyout. That's just kind of the way. I don't know, man. I mean,
it's tough. It's tough. I mean, it just it always boils down to money at the end of the day. Do you want to spend that money to reset your program to try to get the right guy, or do you want to stay stagnant? And I don't think your program with the history that you have is going to stay stagnant.
No, and I agree with that. But I just all I'm getting at is I'm not saying he can't get fired. I'm telling you that I don't see him getting fired unless it's like 5-7, and or 4-8.
See Big Cuz?
Because right here. Well, there he is. What's up, big dog? What you doing?
Man, what's happening with you, bro?
Nada. Welcome into the show. You remember our boy Shawty?
What's happening?
Man, what's going on with you, bro?
Hey, man, you related to Richard Dent?
Huh?
Are you related to Richard Dent?
Man, my auntie says somehow, some way, but I ain't never known. Okay. I think we got some folks over in Georgia.
I was gonna say it's a small world because I'm in that Richard Dent kind of circle, so that's why.
Yeah, man. So shoot, I don't. You know how your aunties and great aunts, they know everything, but I don't even get involved in all that. But yeah, man. Yes, got some family over there in Georgia, bro.
Yeah. Well, and I'll let you ask the question again. You were asking ask it again what you were asking about Oklahoma, because obviously he's got a son on the team too, so I'll let him kind of give his opinion. You were basically talking about what would it take to get him into the playoff? Is that what you're getting at?
So I was just basically asking, when we're talking about numbers, we know Mateer has put up close to 4,000 total yards, 44 plus touchdowns. If he's able to duplicate that number, we both agree Oklahoma is going to probably be deep in the playoffs, and he's going to be in the Heisman, class. But just to have a 10-plus win season, we know Mateer doesn't have to have, a Heisman season. What would be some baseline numbers you think he needs to have for you to have at least a 10-win season? Baseline numbers.
3,000 yards passing plus 500 rushing. Two receivers with 700 plus yards. Running game, 1,000-yard back. That ought to push us in there with the defense that we have.
Plus his rushing would complement that running game.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing that a lot of people don't look at. They won't have to run him as much to keep him healthy, but they will run him in situations that they see fit. I think at Wazoo they had to run him sometimes when they really didn't want to run him. On just stuff that's was just prepared for him to run the ball. Now, of course, he can get outside the pocket, and if he could break loose, he's gonna do that, man. But I think just overall, and everybody's staying healthy. We got to have a 85 to 90% healthy. Got to have a 95% healthy roster to do what we're talking about doing. 95% healthy rosters in your key position rooms, your offensive line, your receivers, even your running back room, man. I think that leads up to a 9-10 win season.
Yeah, I think you got to be healthy in certain areas. I think you need more health, certainly on the offensive line and at receiver. I think they got depth, though. I think they got a lot more depth, and I mean, the key word has been competitive depth at Norman for a while now, and they finally, it feels like they've achieved it.
Well, a lot of people will say, well, how can the offensive line be better when it's pretty much the same guys, last year?
Young.
When you're young, it is what it is, man. So my thing about it is, you have to develop, and this is a league where people don't want to develop no more. They want instant, they want you ready made.
Now, Coach, don't open up that can, because I already been talking about the pro style offense stuff. Now you don't went to the development. I mean, you're gonna talk on camera about this.
So things, different things are happening, man. Oklahoma does believe in development, but today is a different time. Mm-hmm. So you got a guy like Nagy to fill those pieces in that they don't have, that the development maybe even skipped the spot or somebody left or whatever the situation is, whatever situation we're hurting in, you got a guy like Nagy can go to the portal and fill that. But I think overall, BV still believes in development for the guys that will stick around for the development. Now that's a different question. I mean, that's a different monster. Now, will guys stick around 2 and 3 because you still, if you got redshirt, you still got 2 years to play. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So it's just a big thing now. Who will stick around and who won't stick around?
So were you about to say something, Jason?
Well, I was I was basically going to say, you know, when it comes to, I think that it's still, you have to build, and that's where you have to build from the high school ranks as far as your culture is concerned and your depth. That's where you're hoping that you're developing, right? From coming from that high school range.
Mm-hmm.
And there's whatever the mix is. I mean, I think that there's you can argue about that part, whatever the mix is. But I still think that I think he's right. But in talking about that, I think that's why I feel so good about this Oklahoma team. I've always been pointing at 25 as a big year for OU. Now, do I still feel like they're a natty team? Not necessarily, but I don't. I would tell you that I think that it's more wide open in college football this year than I can remember it being probably ever. You know, as far as, you know, remember a couple of years ago, we're talking about, there's 5 or 6 teams, maybe.
Not now.
And now it's probably closer to 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you can't build the same amount of depth that like what you could do with Saban, where Saban and Kirby are stacking them 4 deep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they had to wait their turn. It's not like that anymore. So I would tell you that I think that is there a chance? Yeah, I think it would take a special freaking season, which it does anyway to win a natty, but it would take an ultra special season coming off of what we've seen. But I do think that when you start looking at the guys that they have in the locker room, the guys that this isn't their first year, they're not freshmen. There's a couple of guys that you might get some production from as freshmen, but now your veteran guys have been there now for a while. They've been part of his early recruiting classes, and you're expecting them to have big parts in what they're doing. Defensive line wise, I mean, and really they only have a couple of guys on that are transfer guys. They built that from within.
Even with your transfer guys on the D line, McKenzie and all. I mean, this is his second year in the program, so you know those guys, man.
Yeah, you got Dominic.
I mean, Dominic. Yeah, Dominic. Guess
But
what I'm
then you
talking
got
about.
Marvin Jones, who's a first-year guy.
Yeah, Marvin is the first year guy, but I still think Marvin will be in the rotation with PJ and all the rest of it, except for R. Mason. I think R. Mason is your one guy that we stamp and say, hey, look, he's going to be on that edge. You know,
Except they've got to find. I think they got to find a place for Danny Okoye. They have to get him in the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I say, I mean, I think they're going to rotate. Like they got a huge rotation with that, and I think a part of that rotation is always having somebody fresh on the edge. I think that's a part of BV's strategy is to be super fresh on the edge, man. Wreak havoc with those offensive tackle. Make the other team have to say, shit, man. They got fresh guys. We got to get somebody else out there, and then now you got your twos out there. And to be honest with you, we don't really have twos on that defensive end. All those guys, you got 4 guys that could be ones.
Sure.
So it's just a rotation of I'm coming at you pretty much, and that's how BV is a super hype person anyway. So that's what he
you
like.
Don't know where it's
He like
coming
to
from
send
with
them
BV. You don't know where it's coming from. He could send he could send a blitzer from anywhere. You know what I mean? And they're the best at disguising it. But again, I like it. When we've talked a lot the last year or so. And Shawty, I think you talked about this a lot when we were talking about like Tennessee last year. That the way that you have to win in the SEC, especially against teams like Georgia, you got to be able to get pressure on these quarterbacks with a light box.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they can do that with their defensive front. What they're going to have there. And so
you got to be able to, you got to have, studs up front. You got to be able to get pressure with 4, no more than 5. If you have to send more than 5, then you're putting yourself in a predicament where you can give up a big play.
Yeah,
And I think
you're a defender down, right?
right.
You don't have enough for all the receivers or whatever.
And anytime that, I can only speak about us, anytime that we are successful, we're able to have more men in the box than you can block. So that's why it's very hard to run on us, because we always have that extra man in the box, because we're able to play man to man. Last year, we had to be a little bit more, and you could tell the difference. We had to be a little bit more, how can I say, versatile in our defense, and you could tell the difference in the production.
Yeah, anytime you can play man to man, you got a chance of wreaking havoc on that QB, because you can bring more than they can block, pretty
Mm.
much. And that just, I mean, that's been Georgia calling card for a long time with Kirby, period. And that's kind of, BV will do the same thing. But I even teach, with my 7-on-7 bunch, cover. Well, no, we're gonna play man, because if you can play man, you can play anywhere. That's the thing.
That's the
If you
one
can
thing
play
that you
man,
don't
It's
see a
easy
lot
to
from
play man
Hayden.
in zone, believe it or not. Some kids get confused playing zone.
yeah, you gotta. I mean, it takes a special
But
coach.
that's not BV though, man. He just doesn't do it.
What's that?
He almost never plays man. Almost never.
Do you think that's a personnel thing, or that just his style of play calling?
It's
Well, you
just
got
he just
you got
doesn't
you
believe
got to
in
think about
maybe
Belichick. Think about Belichick in the days when his defensive backs, man, they were a cover two team, man. They ran zone. They hardly
yeah,
ever ran.
same with Pete.
Um,
Same with Pete.
mhm.
Pete
I
Carroll and
mean,
all his good teams. They were
I mean,
always covered
they
two.
always was zone teams, man.
But
Yeah.
And
those cover two those Tampa two kind of teams, you have to have some serious They got to be serious up there in their run fit for run pressure.
I mean, long too, bro. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just his style. You know what I'm saying? So, but I do know Kirby. Kirby loves to go man, man. He loves to blitz.
Oh yeah.
That
Well,
man
that's
cover.
same with Alabama. You didn't see them going. Seeing them in zone last year was weird,
Right.
right? Because that's not what Saban did at all. And I think it hurt them at times that they weren't used to it. You know,
And that's what I go back to, is that I think that was because of some of the personnel issues that Alabama may have had. And I'm not saying from a talent standpoint, because you got
right. It just they weren't set up to run the zone. They just weren't that. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you gotta have you. I mean, there are certain players. I was listening to there was some DBs, man. It was on ESPN or whatever. It might have been a podcast, but those guys were talking about certain guys that, like your Brian Dawkins and certain ones. They were zone safeties. You know what I'm saying? So, just hearing them, it makes sense. Some of them, they play better to that scheme. They play better to the zone scheme. Some play better to the man scheme. So it's just all about your personnel, man. I think personally, I think we got the guys to play man to man. I
Mm.
mean, you
I agree. I
we
didn't
have
say
the
that
guys
they
to
didn't
play
have the
man to
guys
man.
to do it. I just said that he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It's
So
just not what.
do you see a change in philosophy?
No,
Okay.
Man, that would be V, man. He done won with his philosophy
he
for
doesn't.
years.
His defenses have done. Now I'll tell you that the one thing that's bothered me. I mean, each of the first 3 years, you've got a 3rd and 5, and he's 7 yards off the football with his corners. Oh, somebody kill me now. I hate when he does that shit. I'm like,
Listen, Jess, they ain't no different than this 3rd and less than 1 in the quarterback in the
Mm,
shotgun. That shit kills me.
drives me nuts too, dude. And here's the thing.
yeah.
For the people that are talking about air raid stuff with, and it may not, I've heard you've heard that talk about air raid doesn't win in the SEC. First of all, I think it's a new SEC. Secondly, I love it that Arbuckle, I watched the dude get into jumbo. I've seen every game they played last year and the year before that with Cam there, and they don't mind getting under center and doing a jumbo package. Love it. Love it.
Man, that's called using your talent, bro.
Yeah, it is.
Some coaches get caught up in, oh, this is my scheme and this, right. Man, use what you have in your toolbox. If you have the necessary tools to do something that's authentic and different, then do it. That's where we were a few years ago at TCPS when I was coaching there. We went and played. This team had pretty much had been kicking us for a couple years, and we was a spread team. And man, when we got in that jumbo set, we call it bear. And when we got in that bear set, man, they didn't know what in the hell was coming. We rushed for over 240 yards that night
Mm.
because, we were a spread team, but we looked around and we had some beef. We was like, Coach, man, just what if, what
Dumb it
if?
down. Dumb it down, coach.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No doubt.
Yeah,
sometimes.
what if we do this, man? We come out there and we was up 21. We was up 21 nothing, and now you didn't hit a team in the mouth, and your play calling change when you're down 21 nothing. It changes a lot, especially if that team has a pretty good defense. So yeah, man, I love that about him. Taking the tools that you have, man, to build a house that you need. Use every tool in the toolbox, and that's kind of how I feel like Arbuckle is. Being a young-minded guy, he wants to do a lot instead of just well, I've been doing this for years. I'm gonna stick with it. He's not old enough to say that just yet.
And
Yeah.
that's about knowing your personnel as a coach too. Just knowing your personnel, knowing your strength of your players. I tell people a lot of times, I'm gonna use South Carolina as an example. They have Nick Harbor, 6'3" kid, 6'4" kid running a 10-2. And all you want to do is run them straight down the field. Sometimes, just throw the ball out there to him, let the man put the ball in the man's
I
hands.
would do that too. I would do that. Just get him the ball in
Right.
space anywhere. You don't have
Yeah.
to throw deep balls to him
Right.
because I don't think he's polished at that stuff. Right?
He can't sink his hips. He's not dropping at the hips. No, just throw the ball out there and let the man put the ball in the man's hand. You ain't got to run him 20 yards down the field. Dumb it down, coach. Throw him a hitch.
Yeah. Let him go into an uncovered space. I mean, we were just
Right.
talking about guys that if you know what we used to do in high school, if dudes were not honest on the line, we were a spread team. The quarterback would come out of center and throw it to you right now on the line because we get 5-7 yards, 5-7 yards, 5-7 yards until they came up.
That
Come
just
up and
becomes
get us
extension of
because
your
if we
running
don't,
game.
we're going to do this shit all day.
If you can dunk 2-3 yard pass and get another 2 yard, that's just an extension of your running game. That's all that is.
That's all it was, and it was we
And a
used
lot
to
of things too. A lot of
a lot of
things too.
cheap yards like that.
Right.
A lot of cheap
When
yards like that.
when I see zone, man, especially my eyes light up, man, because we run toward grass. We just got a bunch of grass routes,
That's
and
right.
then we'll tell that inside guy, "Hey, man, find grass,"
Mm.
and you just sit down in there, and that just, I mean, it's so easy to beat
Watch
a
out now,
zone.
you're gonna get him
for
talking about
quarterback.
that route tree shit when you
Who's
start
Right.
that?
doing that.
Man, I don't care nothing about a route tree, bro. That's something that's of the past, man. Because a lot of routes and a lot of things that I used to run, man, they were non-typical type routes,
Sure.
man. So the day in the game has changed where you don't run the old route tree.
It's more options, more option
Yeah,
route.
A lot
more
of
option
option routes.
option
Absolutely.
routes, man. So
Mhm.
you have to kind of, and it helps, man, when you got a smart receiver like Burks, very smart guy. Um, he playing in that slot, man. He knows when to break it down and when to cut it a little short. And then that's just a repetition with him and Mateer and those guys learning each other this summer. So I'm imagining they're going to spend a lot of time with each other in the next 8-9 weeks before the
Mhm.
season really hits. So
Oh yeah.
that's going to be the biggest thing. And just going back to what you said about the 9-10 win season is how much those receivers and that quarterback also gel together this summer. That's going to be big. They
I
had
think
a
it's
spring,
important.
but this summer is going to be really, really big.
I agree with you. And the other thing and this is what I was saying the other day, if they're going to get to 10, if they're going to get to 10, 11 and really make a run in the playoff, right? Say that if you want them to be semifinal or better, BV has to have taken a step forward
As a
as far
coach,
as yes, as his game management CEO, not being afraid to make certain calls in certain areas. Just and here's the thing, I know he feels like he's on the hot seat. Again, most of us don't think that it's as hot as people act like it is. I just don't, because I think we're in a new era right now that they're not willing to when they can give that money to players, they're just not willing to. And they've already invested so much in a lot of players. I don't see them doing it. And
well, you invested a lot in a GM too.
Facts.
Yeah.
Again, I still think that's why I think that I don't think he's as hot. But if he thinks he is, I think that he's going to play. I think he's going to approach it that way and not leave. And that's what I've been saying. I felt like he needed to be more instinctive. That, dude, you've been in the game for a long time. You know what's going on.
Well,
Stop second guessing it.
Well, here's the thing too, Jason. Think about this, bro. You got Kevin Wilson on that sideline.
Absolutely.
You got enough guys, man, that's there now that to make this whole game day process go a hell of a lot smoother. I mean, you do. You really do. And that I think that's gonna be, I mean, with Kevin there, man, man, that's just a lot of people don't know how huge that is, but that was probably one of the biggest pieces I feel like in the offseason, getting him back in the fold.
Yeah.
Because he can help with that game management. And not only that, you got a older, brilliant mind in a young, innovative, aggressive mind that's in that room together. They ought to be able to come up with something, bro.
Yeah.
So
But BV has to be that singular voice, though. He has to be the.
he is that.
Oh, okay,
He is that.
Well, but wait, what I was
saying, we're talking about game day managing because of course he's going to be the DC. So you got to have some coaches.
But he's going to have the final decision on are we going to go for it on fourth down or not? Like the Ole Miss game. Yeah. When he calls the timeout and then sends the fucking punt team out in the third quarter down 10. It was.
Well, I'm gonna say this about that situation. I remember that play, and I remember it well. I think it was a decision on, they got these cotton picking analytics guys, and they look at that analytics and whatever. Sometimes whatever analytics says, they go with it. It might sound like the worst judgment in the world because I know I look at it, I'm like, and then you hear him say
that you have to go for it. Coach, I don't even think you have to go for it. What I'm telling you is if you're going to burn a timeout there, that if you're going to come back 10 down, you're going to need that timeout. You don't have to, I think situationally on the 35 or 30 or whatever it was, you don't have to go for it there. All I know is that they didn't have a lot of shorter conversions from third or fourth down in the second half. They just didn't. So at some point, you got to make a stand, right? You got to go for it. And at some point in the second half, to me, when you do that, when you call a timeout, you've got an offense that already is got a confidence problem. It's their first week without Seth Littrell. You can show them that I trust and believe in you guys by sending the damn play out there, whether it works out or not. Who cares?
Yeah.
But when you and if not, take a fucking penalty and punt.
I think they would.
Don't burn the timeout.
Don't burn the timeout.
Well, I think. Well, no, they didn't burn timeout. Yeah, I get that, but I think they was trying to pin them deep, and they was trying to weigh the options. But I wouldn't have burnt the timeout for that. I kind of would have took the penalty. To be honest with you,
I would have taken the penalty.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna punt anyway. That's kind of the point. If you're gonna punt anyway, you don't need to take the time out to punt.
Yeah, you take the penalty on that one.
Yeah. Give yourself more space to pin them.
Exactly. And they had a good punter. It's not like they had an issue with that. He could kick it down there. So that was where
but
in the end, I think that he missed an opportunity to show that offense that he believed in them right then.
But it's also third, fourth year of the head coach.
Nah, man.
I
don't think that was the situation on that, Jason. I disagree with you on that. I think it was at a point where they just didn't know what the hell they was going to do at that point in time. I don't think it was.
That's not even a good answer, though.
I'm not saying it's a good answer, but I'm telling you facts, though.
If you don't know what the hell you're doing, you didn't know.
I didn't say what you.
That's a problem.
No, what I'm saying is I know because I've been in those situations, man. Where you like, hey, you like, hold on, wait a minute, Give me a second. I need to think this through because things are going so fast. And I think now with the staff that you have in hand now, I think those decisions will be made very swift and very quickly. Because even with Saban and all of his greatness or whatever you want to call it, he still always had guys around him
Sure.
that was in that headset with him that said, "Hey, coach, we might need to do this," and Saban like, "Hey, well, go ahead on. We're gonna do this." And you just don't. When you didn't
They were
have, you
ultra
had Joe.
prepared.
Yeah, they was prepared. We wasn't prepared for hardly nothing on offense last year, bro. To be honest with
I'm
you,
aware. I'm aware. But I'm
you
just
know,
saying,
so
situationally with speaking, when you call a timeout
that
like
was a
that,
that was a bad situation. I
yeah,
mean,
it
we
was.
nobody's perfect, man. Nobody's gonna make every perfect.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen. And that was a bad situation. But I don't think you will have those situations. It was so much adversity going up
Yeah.
against those guys. With you had just lost Sexton. It was Joe John first game being called. We was in a SEC top 10 team at the time.
You're
Yeah.
talking about a third year head coach too, to be honest. I
You
mean, you're
know what I'm
gonna have some
saying?
bumps. Learning, it's a learning curve being a head
And
coach.
It
so I
definitely is.
mean, it was
Definitely is.
nobody's gonna be perfect on those
And that was the
situations.
point I was making
Yeah,
whenever I was
I'm as
saying this.
long as they
I
learn
think
from it, that's all it matters. Yeah.
if they are going to go to that level that we're talking about them getting to, I see them. I think they're bottoming out at 8 wins. I think they could get as high as 10, and who knows, right? I don't really see the unless you had ridiculous injuries like you did a year ago. I just don't see how this roster could not go out there and find a way to win 8 games. I just
If this
hard.
roster is averaging 375, 390, they ain't got to average 400 again. If they averaging that, just to say 400,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
past
they're going to
their
be top
rushing.
30. That'll be
We're
top 30,
we're
right?
we in there. And I tell everybody, Alabama and LSU, I see those are two. We can win those games, but I just see those are the toughest two teams. Everybody else, if we play the way we should play, we should beat.
Yeah.
LSU is going to be dangerous, man.
But
They're going to be dangerous.
Jason's point, I think that's a great point that a lot of people do not think about, and it has nothing to do with X's and O's. For you guys to take that next level, I do agree with Jason. I think BB will have to elevate his head coaching game as well. It ain't got nothing to do with the players. He's going to have
Mhm.
to elevate his own coaching style and coaching game for you guys to take that
Sure.
next level as well. So I do.
I
I
think
think
he
that's a
I think
great
he
point
said
that
that.
nobody talks about.
I think he said that though. You know what I mean? I think it's not something he's running from. And I will say that the Kevin Wilson hire was it may have been it'll be completely underrated until it turns out really good. But the fact that he's been the coordinator there when they were at their best on offense during the years of Jermaine Gresham and, you know, tight end coach, offensive coordinator. He's been a head coach a couple of times. Tough places to go win. He was at Indiana and he was at Tulsa, but he knows how to control a game, especially from the offensive side of it. I think if it's in a situation where they're trying to hold somebody out of the end zone, like Texas, Brent is good. He doesn't worry about that, right? When it's offensively and you got to decide whether you're going to, send out a play or not, I think that he hesitates a little bit because he hasn't been there in those making those decisions for all these years. He hasn't. So I do want to see him be better, but I do think that having a guy like Kevin Wilson, and he seems to be going to be playing that Matt Wells role for when the defense comes off the field, they go and talk to him, and he's going to kind of be acting head coach at the moment, right?
Just let me ask you this right here. Think about this. You're in a situation as a head coach, and you're still fairly young as a head coach, and you got an offense coordinator has never called a ball game in his life, and you know you got a situation right there, man. That if we just go back real time and look at it, man, that was it was a lot of things going on, man. At that point in time, man, it had to be some crazy stuff going on in his head. Now you take Arbuckle, who has been a play caller and is more comfortable with game management. If he had been in that situation, he might have made decision for BV.
Yeah.
He would have, because BV would have said, "How you feel?" Or
Yeah,
we
it
going
wasn't
for
it.
it?
Yeah,
We
and it
going for
wouldn't
it,
be
coach. I mean, you got Joe John. He can't. What
fair.
could he ask Joe John? This is his first game ever calling.
That's fair.
You
That's a
see what I'm saying? And so, my thing of it is like he's gonna look over there at him and say, what can y'all do? Because this is your job. What can y'all do? We're going for it, coach. I got something dialed up. This is what we got. Let's go for it.
So he's basically hiring a staff that he can trust. He's got a staff around him that he can
Oh
trust.
yeah, man. That's gonna help some of those decision making. Is what I'm saying. When you got a guy that you trust, if he say let's go for it, I'm going for it. Unless it's a situation that the ball game is in that moment in that hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I still think BV being the person that he is, he's going to stick behind his guy. If this guy said we can go, we going. And I feel like that's the type coach he is. You know,
Yeah.
especially if the guys want to go, we going. I mean, we saw what happened in that Navy game. Hey, we went for it. We went for the win. He ain't scared to go for the win now. He didn't want to get into that overtime with that crazy offense and short field, man. That's what they do. All that old crazy trickery stuff. But yeah, man, I just think having a experienced OC and having a guy like Kevin in there, man, that's gonna help all that decision making stuff, man.
I think it helps a lot. And from what I hear, he's been making his presence known in the tight end room, which is certainly important because
Well,
they
man,
haven't been good
yeah,
there.
man. But thing about it is, I played tight end, dude. Everybody is gloom and doom in that tight end room. Man, they got some guys in there could play.
They
I'm
do.
not saying you got all Americans in there that's going to be a first round draft
But
pick, but
it's not that. It's the fact that Joe John hasn't been coaching them up very well.
well, the thing about it is, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to sit up here and say that you got you. I think this.
Coach, you don't have to. Everybody else
Well,
is.
here's no. Just listen to me. I must. Everybody said their piece. Let me say mine. The thing about it is, I look at that tight end room last year, and I don't think it was the coaching. I think a lot of it was play calling, having a tight end out there blocking somebody who's he. I mean, he can't block. He wasn't really nothing but an H-back. He wasn't a tight end. You got him out there blocking these cotton picking ends. We playing South Carolina. Man, that didn't make no sense. None at all. So those kind of miscues make everything look like it's just really bad. Now I don't care how much coaching he got, he wasn't gonna block them two guys, bro. It wasn't gonna
I
happen.
wasn't talking about the South Carolina game and Bauer Sharp. Bauer Sharp was probably the best player on the offense. That's not a good thing, but he was the best player on the offense.
But he come out the tight end room though.
Right.
If you're gonna say that, then how can you say he's not coaching them up when you say he was the best athlete we had? But he was a tight end room, so you can't say he
He
wasn't
came from
coaching them
somewhere
up.
else. He was here exactly 1 year. I mean,
Well, here's the thing. You just said that he was the best offensive weapon we had, and then you said
I
that
said
he's
he
not being
probably was, and I could
okay.
probably
Well,
go
what's
back
that?
on it too.
And probably let's say one or two. He top one or two guys we had.
But he wasn't good enough for you to run your offense through him. We've talked
And
about that a bunch of times.
dude, he wasn't. It don't make no difference where he's at. He's not good enough for that. I don't care how much coaching he
Hmm.
get. You
No,
look
he's
at
not.
his size. He's not
No,
a prototypical tight end.
no, he's more of a small. He's more of a big receiver that is a
That's
little
what I'm.
slow.
That's a
He's just a
that's a.
slow receiver. Yeah,
You just said it for me.
yeah. No,
He's
the
not a
point
tight
I'm
end.
making is the point I'm making though is that I wasn't saying that as a good thing. That's not a good thing. If he's your best player, that's a fucking problem.
Well, it's
Because
a problem for the offense.
right, yeah.
Well, the tight end room, if
And a lot of it was play calling. There's no two ways around it.
yeah,
A lot of it
I
was play
think
calling and the injuries and everything else. There's a lot of things that kind of transpired to have what we had last year. We had a quarterback that would piss down his leg too.
yeah.
But I
True.
thought you were coming standpoint. I thought you was coming from a development standpoint.
Yeah, and I'm saying if it's a development standpoint, this guy was probably one of our leading receivers on the team. So I can't say the guy has done a bad job when one of his tight ends was one of the leading receivers on the
Well,
team.
bro, there
I don't.
wasn't more receivers that played hardly last year.
But still, you making my point.
I'm just saying it wasn't about.
Am I
That
right,
wasn't about
Shawty?
Jojan.
Hey,
No, it
am I,
wasn't about Jojan. That's not the point. I'm saying is it's like being the one guy with two legs in an ass kicking contest.
all right, but let me ask you this.
He basically saying you still can't blame me because I did what I was basically supposed to do. It ain't my fault. Everybody else was
That's
crappy.
not what I'm saying.
No,
I'm
no, I'm
telling
saying
you that
that's
if
kind
he's
of
the
the point.
best player, it didn't have anything to do with Jojan. It had everything to do with he was the one that was healthy.
Well, he was the one that was healthy. I understand. I get what you're saying, but outside of Devon Mitchell, what big time guys have come in here?
Well,
He had to. He
Caden
had.
Helms hasn't been healthy, but I think he would have been a big time guy if he was a
No,
healthy
I
person.
know he would.
But
I know he
he's
would
I
have.
don't think he's there anymore. I just
I
don't
do.
think that's the
I
thing.
think, but I just don't think this. I think his chances is run out.
Yeah, because of
Yeah,
they're they're
the
paying other
portal.
dudes.
Yeah, I think his chances is run out. I hope he get a. I hope he get a shot. This year to show what he got. I think last year he
That's the question
um
I had, Jason.
yeah. I think
What's that?
last year he had a touchdown against what was
T
it against?
Boom. To which y'all talking about, I think to me that would be my question. You guys have a new offensive style. Does even the tight end really fit? Is it a big part of that offense?
No. So last year their yardage, the tight ends accounted for like 8% of the yardage receiving, 7%, 7.5% of the catches, 15% of the touchdowns.
There
So
it
no.
is.
I mean, but it's and I would tell you that doesn't mean that he couldn't utilize them. And here's the other thing. What I'll tell you is I think you're going to get a step forward with the tight ends this year because the two guys that they brought in the portal, yes, they were FCS guys. They're big body dudes. They're catching they're catching the football well. And then Cannick coming over to play H-back. Talking about a guy that, yeah, he was a linebacker. He never played linebacker before college. Ran in the 4.3s,
Yeah.
and he's 240. I'm not saying, and I said this the other day, I'm not telling you that he's going to go out there and be your best. If he's our best player, we're in trouble probably. What he's going to do probably is Cannick's going to make himself into one of those guys that you're going to have to account for.
He's a gadget guy.
You're going
You
to have
run a screen. You run that tight end screen with him.
Dimitri Flowers. I think of Dimitri Flowers all the time.
That creates mismatches when you got a guy that does that.
Well, to be honest with
I've
you,
never
man,
seen a film in my life from anyone that had more 50-yard plus touchdowns out
you
of
know
high.
who Cannick reminds me of, his body size and everything.
He's a monster. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you who he reminds me of, and he's a little bit heavier than this guy, Shannon Sharp.
He is like Shannon Sharp, kind of.
Shannon
That's
Sharp.
an
Shannon
H
Sharp.
back.
Shannon Sharp was really an ace back,
That's an H back. That's an H back.
Yeah.
but
He was a
what he
receiver when
did,
he came in the league, right?
but the thing about it is they couldn't cover him. So coach was like, defense coordinator was like, hey, put this son bitch on the field. I'm tired of we can't cover him. Put him out Sunday. See, can somebody else cover him because we can't.
Yeah. Well, and
You know?
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I love that. And I think that you've seen some of that from him in the spring. They were talking about it a lot that the more the spring went on, he was making big time catches and they were looking for him more. Again, I think that if you can find a way to get him involved in the first 4 or 5 games, he gets 2, 3, 4 touchdowns. Now all of a sudden, you got to account for that cat, which is just going to open up the edges and everything else a lot more. I think it could be a huge factor in what they do offensively. It could be a huge factor. Again, I'm not expecting him to lead the team or anything like that. And if he does, that's probably not good. But I think that he can be a problem for people. I think he's going to be a problem for teams. Again, I've never seen a high school film where a dude had more 50-plus yard touchdowns. Never. I've never seen anything like that. And I was like, why the fuck is he coming to play linebacker? I didn't see any highlights of him playing linebacker. I saw him just killing it on offense.
Hey, he's a dude, man, and that's the thing about it. You take the unexpected from him, and that's something that I think when they moved him for a reason. They moved him because they felt like he could help them in that room somehow. You know, so they moved him over there. I think they moved him to use him. I don't think they moved him just to make room in the linebacker room. I
Right.
don't think that at all.
Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and do the last two segments. I'm going to go to 145 today, but I don't really have time to do much else. But I'm going to hit this commercial real quick because I'm going to go to the restroom, and we'll be right back. Hey, we're coming up on college football season 2025. Are you ready? Not so you visit the Hall of Fame College Football Partner page or not. Hey, it's time to get ready. Go to the Hall of Fame College Football Partner store, hofmedia.us/fanatics. Look, we don't get a bunch of money off of this affiliate deal. That's all right. The best part about it is you get really, really good deals, which is why I have so many different hats. This one just came in yesterday. I've got another one that's in there too. But listen, the best part about our deal with Fanatics Store is that our amazing audience members and me get great deals on the stuff in the store. That's right. No matter what the best deal is, you're going to get it on my partner link. That's the way they work because they certainly don't pay the affiliates. That's all right. Make sure you jump over there, check it out. Anyway, get the best deal you can get. Take it as a little appreciation from us for you being the best audience on YouTube. So go check it out. hofmedia.us/fanatics. That's hofmedia.us/fanatics. I said, make sure you guys get over there and check out that partner site. You guys, I know y'all are checking out the hat, man. The lid looks right, doesn't it?
If it had a Georgia logo on it.
That's old school right there, bro. That's some of that
old school. I love it.
That's that early 80s right there, bro.
Somebody commented on it in the comments earlier about it was an old school hat. They brought it back.
Yeah. I got this other one too.
Well, like something Switzer wore back in the day.
This is more like early 90s is what it is. It's more like the early 90s gear. But the rope hats are probably they went back a little earlier. But they're definitely in right now. Jump over there and check it out. You get the best deals on our partner link. It's a good way to help y'all. It doesn't really do shit for us. So, but I get good deals on it, so I buy stuff from there all the time. So any commission I do, it is usually just a hat or a shirt, something like that. So get over there and check it out. All right.
Check it out.
Let's talk a little bit about this. Going to a 9-game schedule in the SEC. It's back up again for consideration. Now ESPN has talked about they're willing to pony up 50 to 80 million more for the entire league, just 50 to 80 million total, which would basically, if it's 80, that means it's 5 million extra, which is still a chunk of change, right? I think that there's a lot of conferences out there that would love to have an extra $5 million.
Yeah, you can go get your quarterback.
Facts. Big facts. So,
oh boy.
And I think most SEC fans would love to see it because then you can have a better rotation with that schedule, right? There's been a lot of teams. I know a lot of people complain, and I don't want to hear about the FCS bullshit at the end of the year because they still played the toughest schedule in the country. Y'all can argue that with me if you want to. I don't want to hear that shit. What I do want to see is more A&M playing Georgia, that you're playing teams every other year. And that's the way it'll work itself out. You'll get to keep your rivals, which is, I still think, is the most important thing in college football, is to play rivalry games. If you start getting away from the rivalry games, you're fucked. I think that's when you start really losing, fans.
Well, let me ask you this, Jason, and this is what I know this had to be thought out about, the commission and everything. But me, as a coach, I'm not scared of competition, but I damn sure don't want to be beat up and have some losses that I don't need. And I got the Big Ten sitting right there.
Well,
And they
there's the big question.
get more guys in because they're not playing the brutal schedule that a 9-game will bring about in the SEC. Man, it's almost
Well, that's the whole
it's
big
almost
question right there.
suicide.
What
To
do
be
they
honest.
do with this? Sooner in Texas brings up a good point. ESPN up in the money. They're going to be, that's what they wanted. That's what the first thing they said, right? They wanted them to get the money. But what's the other thing? You can't fuck them out of a playoff spot because of their strength of schedule or because you're what did Pate say yesterday? You are what your record says you are. No, you're not. That's not true. We know it's not true. That strength of schedule has to mean something, or else you're never going to see them go to that. Why would they? They already play the toughest schedule. You are putting yourself at risk by playing a 9th game of getting a 3rd loss.
Well, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you look at the Big Ten protected their big three when it comes to scheduling. They protected their guys
But
that
you
they
can't
wanted
do
to
both, Marcus. That's what we were
try to
talking
get
about
in.
last year. You're not going to be
Yeah,
able to do both.
yeah, but
You can either play some teams every 10 years, or you can get a full schedule every other year and protect your rivalries. But you can't do both in the SEC because it's just too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
but
And the emergence of the Big Ten is also pushing that agenda too. Believe it or not, they are pushing that agenda too, because that's why we want to get that extra game in so we can guarantee that extra spot. Because if we don't, the Big Ten may get it.
That's the biggest. That's my biggest concern is, just being brutally beat up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can't stack players, so your depth chart is not what it was. Nobody's depth chart is what it was 4 or 5 years ago because of NILs and in the portal. So man, you're gonna get beat up. And what I mean by beat up, I mean week after week after week. I mean you don't even get a game where your guys get to rest.
Oh, that's the chicken before the egg, but that's why we giving you that money, extra money, that you go buy some more depth. Figure it out.
Man, yeah, you say that 5 million,
No, I'm
5
just,
million.
but that's what you got to
And
do, coach. You got to. You got no choice. You got to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's
but
why a lot of
it's
this.
only so many players out there, bro.
Well, they got to get rid of
There's
this
only so many
roster
players
limit
out
horse
there.
shit. I don't know why they're trying to limit the rosters more now with more games. That hasn't made sense to me yet. I'm still.
I think they're still up in the air right now, right?
Well, it is. I'm saying I know that's being argued about for the House settlement, but the point is that if there, it seems like everybody's wanting to go in the direction of less players, and you got more games. That just doesn't make sense.
There you go. Dolphins say not only are we talking about that we finna play even more games, so they ain't worried about getting beat up. Trust me, they ain't worried about that. It's about the money for them. This is about the business. It ain't about the
But
players.
it's about the money, but it's about getting into the playoff and having a better. Listen, as much, and that's money too.
Yeah,
you're right. As much as anything, Greg Sankey is not going to allow the Big Ten to have more teams in there than he has.
That's my point.
He's not having it. And so why would you put your team at an extra risk for another week of playing another SEC school when somebody's got to lose that game? Somebody's got to lose that game. So you're going to have, that's 9 more losses for your league.
You got to guarantee me a spot to get the
or 8 more losses.
For me to play an extra game, you got to guarantee me an extra spot.
Okay, that was the point. That was the question. Do you think that it's going to hinge on? Is this why? First off, is this why they want to go to 16 teams? That's the other thing that's come out over the weekend. Is that we're hearing now they're not favoring a 14-team expansion. They're favoring to go ahead and go to 16.
Cause guess who that let in? The same team we were talking about last year. All them teams that get hot toward the end of the year claim they got 3 losses and they should be in the playoffs.
Sure,
that's what that's about.
Of course it is, but here's the thing. You can stomach that if you're getting the amount of teams you think you can. And I'm not. First off, I've said this a bunch of times. I don't like the idea of automatic bids at all.
Get rid of it.
I don't like it. I don't think that I think that the SEC and the Big Ten are overstepping here because they're already gonna get 4 and sometimes 5 teams in anyway. moving it up to
Hold on, do you say
14
auto
spots.
bid or auto seeding? I don't like
Auto
auto.
bids, even auto bids. I don't even
I
like
don't like
auto
the auto
bids.
seeding, but okay.
I hate the auto seeding, but I don't like the idea of we're going to have a definite amount of teams.
Okay.
So what we're looking at, if they go to 16, it's because they want to do playing games instead of a championship. Did we lose? Because they want to do, so they'll do like the 3 and 4, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 in the SEC and in the Big Ten. So there won't be a conference championship. The champion will be determined by what you do in the regular season, and then they'll have a play-in game for the other two. That's cool and all, but I don't see why you need more than you're going to give. I mean, guaranteed spots anyway. I think you're always going to get more than the ACC and the Big 12. I just think you are. You're just as stronger leagues. They're going to give you the benefit. Now, here's the thing. I understand why the SEC and the Big Ten are saying that shit, because they didn't give the SEC the benefit of the doubt last year.
Nope,
They
they
gave
did
it to
not.
fucking Indiana and Boise State and SMU. Or Boise got in on merit. They were the best group of 5 team. SMU did it. SMU played 2 good teams. BYU lost to them at home and then gagged away that game against Clemson in the championship game. They didn't really play another big team in the ACC.
I agree with you on that.
I hated that. And so I get it that, you know, and people say, well, Alabama wasn't good. Wasn't as good as who? Because I promise you they would have beat the shit out of Boise just like Penn State did. Or SMU, just like Penn State did. You know, Penn State got the luck of that draw, man. Again, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Shit. Oregon, I'd still be madder than shit if I was Oregon. You know, win the Big Ten in your first year there and get a worse draw than what Penn State had to get there. It was wild, man.
Yeah, they need to fix that. You know, I am in favor of not automatic seating, but automatic bid for like the group of 5 guys, because you never know, man. You never know. I mean, you got to play it between the lines.
I don't have a problem with them getting a team, and they're not upping them. Now, the one thing, I think that the Big 12 and the ACC are going to agree to this if it goes to 16, because now they'll be guaranteed more than they were ever going to be guaranteed in the 12. They're getting 2 guaranteed spots. Now, that's still 2 less than the SEC or the Big 10, which I still think you're going to get 4 or 5 more years than you don't anyway. But I think that that's not where they're headed. I just don't think that that's where they're headed. And I don't know why. I think it's a bad idea to do it like that. I don't like having 4 automatic spots at the table because you don't know from one year to the next. Do we suspect that, yes, the SEC and the Big Ten at the top will be better with their top 4 than probably your second team in the ACC and the Big 12? Probably. It's not a guarantee, though.
You take those years that UCF went undefeated. Man, they had some really good football team. I'm not talking about the last year when they got beat and the quarterback ended up, being
talking about when they won their national championship years, right?
Yeah, I mean, you put those teams in a playoff. I think if you're not prepared, they could probably beat you. You know, and that's what I'm saying. So that's why I don't want to get rid of the group of 5. Let at least one of those guys in, because it's good for the sport.
Well, that's what they're going to do. It's not going to change a whole lot. So the changes will be you'll have 4 automatic bids, 4 auto bids for the SEC and the Big Ten, 2 auto bids for the Big 12 and the ACC.
I'll tell you a team that I feel like guys that could get in as a group of 5 team, and I feel like Tulane is
I
one
thought
of those
that
guys.
last year.
Dude, Tulane. I mean, you remember when they beat the brakes off?
They played too many good teams, bro. They played too many good teams. That's what happened to them. They just played too many good ones.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they did last year. I don't know what the schedule looked like.
Actually, the schedule is the problem.
To be honest with you, they are the. Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is, I think they were better than Boise.
Oh yeah. Hey,
I think they were better
you
than
ain't gotta
Boise.
tell me, man. I think
So
they
I
have
think
one of
they
the best
left. I
coaches in
mean,
the country.
so my thing about it is, I think you take the best group of 5, regardless of the record. You
Mhm.
take the best group of 5.
Well, that's the thing, because if they play too many good teams, which I think Tulane is playing as many tough teams that, they've scheduled it that way, but, and winning a conference championship is great. But,
Yep. They beat
we talked
they beat a
a
good
lot about.
Memphis team last year, did they not?
Well, Memphis kind of fell apart at
They
some
did.
point, but
Okay.
they were
That
supposed to be really
that
good.
take us back to what we were talking about earlier. All wins and losses are not created equal. That's
They're
what we talking about.
certainly not.
And to your point about the 8-9 game schedule, we don't want to go to a 9-game schedule because we don't want to get beat up. And that's kind of what happened to Tulane. If they didn't
Mhm.
play such a hard schedule, they
Yep.
probably would have made the playoff last year.
They played Oklahoma, K-State, and didn't they end up playing like UCF and stuff too? They had a couple of, maybe it was Houston. I don't remember exactly, but
I think it was
I'll go back and look. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that that's the
But
whole
they had
thing
a
with
what,
the
8, 9 win
season.
game? They,
Yeah,
I
they
thought
had
they
a
won
good
10.
season,
They won
but
10.
if you lose, but
yeah,
what if
I think
Boise
so.
didn't lose but one game?
Right.
But in strength of schedule, I would have took Tulane
Mhm.
because Tulane played a
Well,
tougher schedule than they
Well,
did.
boys had that one out of conference tough. Who was it? Michigan or somebody? Who
no,
was
they went to Oregon and almost
Oregon.
won.
Oregon.
Yeah, they went to Oregon and almost won. That was early in the season,
And
and then
see,
they
that's
kind
not
of
the same.
coasted.
That loss to them did them good,
Mm-hmm.
but
Sure.
they wouldn't have. That loss would have been worse, maybe 7 or 8 games in the season.
Right. Well, so Tulane didn't end up winning the AAC. It was they did lose to 2024. Yeah. So they did lose to
Oh, they did have one in conference game they shouldn't have lost. I
they
remember.
lost to Memphis at the end. Memphis came back around, I guess. So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah,
I knew it had something to do with Memphis.
let me look at the
And
home
Memphis,
deal. It
Memphis
started
been
off
pretty good too.
so
Memphis got some dudes, man.
they blew Southeastern Louisiana out. They damn near beat K-State. They had chances to beat Oklahoma the next week. That was back-to-back weeks, by the way. They beat Louisiana. They beat the shit out of South Florida. Beat the shit out of UAB, Rice, North Texas. They barely beat them. Charlotte, they blew out. Temple, they blew out. Navy, they blew out. Jesus.
Oh wow.
And then they lost by 10 in the conference championship game and lost to Army too.
Well,
But that was after they lost their quarterback had left. He didn't stay around for the bowl.
no, he didn't stay around. The bowl game. He
Right.
vanished. Yeah.
Right. So, like I said, I think John Summerall is one of the best coaches in the country.
And
He's
Jalen.
either going to be at Kentucky or somewhere like that real soon,
Mhm.
right? You
Great
just
coach,
expect
man.
that. He's a good coach. Again, and it's not like they were left in a bad position either. What's his name that took over at Houston? He's been a hell of a coach.
What's his name, man?
It's I know it just slipped
Older
through.
guy, man.
Yeah,
Fitz. Is that his name?
Willie Fritz.
Willie Fritz. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a hell of a coach. So
Mhm.
they were in a good spot, right? John's been killing it everywhere he's been. He was killing it at Troy. They've been doing really good things. He takes over a program that was in good shape because Willie left it that way.
Well, he did well as a coordinator up at Kentucky.
He
You
did.
know,
He
yeah, he
did.
did well. He was at Ole Miss. He was at Ole Miss linebacker coach when I think it was right. I think Matt Luke last year, maybe Lane's
Yeah.
first year. You know,
Yeah.
then he went to Kentucky and man did a great job up there as a coordinator, and went to Troy, turned that program around. So man, he's an up and coming guy. I know there's a lot of programs got the eye on him, man. That's
Yeah.
for
And Jackson, I misspoke on that. They played K-State and Oklahoma in back-to-back weeks and had chances to win both of those games.
yes.
The rest of their schedule was kind of wacky. It was easier, but then that Memphis loss seems weird to me that they ended up losing that game.
Weird loss.
Something was weird there. But
Was that the conference game?
it was the championship game, the conference
Did
championship.
that kid play in the championship game?
I think so.
I thought he was gone.
Let me see. Yeah, it was
So,
November 28th.
oh yeah, well, he was there then.
So it was, yeah, he played. He had 317 yards, 2 touchdowns. He outplayed. I mean, they just got outrushed, is what it was. They didn't do anything on the ground. Mario Anderson at 177. They just toted the rock, man.
Oh yeah, most
Toted the rock. But, and again, though, but when you go through, and it was their first season. There's two. I mean, that's their first season at Tulane. Again, Willie left them a good situation, but you got a new quarterback. You got some new guys. You know, it was what it was. But I think Tulane is a different program than it was 5 years ago, for damn sure.
Oh yeah, well, Tulane has been, man. Even when I was a kid, growing up, I used to watch Tulane and Southern Miss. That was a big game back in the day.
Yeah.
Those was, they were the Southern Miss was a big group of five, if you want to say it back then. And that game with Tulane, man, that would be I mean, they always would play that game. Somehow it would be on TV. And being in Mississippi, we would be able to see that game. And I remember Reggie Collier and all those guys playing, man. Reggie was a bad boy. And but Tulane football, man, it's kind of one of those things that they're kind of sneaky good. You just can't really put your finger on it. If you go in there and try to play them and think, okay, this is just Tulane, man, you gonna get beat, man. I mean, you're really gonna get beat because they lunch pale. They smart. That's another thing too,
Look where
Jason.
they located. They in
Dude,
Louisiana. They ain't short on athletes.
look, and I'm gonna tell you
So
another
not.
thing too, bro.
So not.
When it comes to in their program,
Let it go.
one of the biggest things that they talked about when we were down there, you would never believe what they would talk about. They would talk about the money that their athletes make when they graduate. I think it was like they was having
They
like,
opted out of the SEC. They opted out of the SEC because they weren't going to put it above academics.
dude, let me tell you something, bro. It was like 120, 130, in money kids making coming out of there, real estate management and all kind of stuff they had, man. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
So that's where my guy that I used to do the Otis Taylor deal with, my guy Kerwin out there, he went to Tulane.
Yeah,
And
man.
he talks
Tulane
about
different.
he's from NOLA. But so
It's
yeah,
different, man. It's different.
he
It's a
played
small.
football for a year at Prairie View, and then he went back to Tulane and tried for a year there, and then he blew his knee out, but he just stayed there.
I almost transferred to Tulane when my offensive line coach went there, Coach Selfo. He became the head coach down there in the late 90s. I almost transferred down there with him.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. It's a small in the new stadium that they got. It's small, but that is the neatest place I've ever seen, man.
NOLA's a different place, bro. It's
I'm
cool
talking
place.
about that campus.
Yeah.
And their facility is so neat.
It's cool. I've seen a basketball game there.
It's small, but it's so neat, and everything is just so fluid, man. That shocked me, to be honest with you, bro.
No, yeah, I didn't realize it until the first time I went there to cover a game. I was like, holy shit. I didn't think anything about Tulane at all whatsoever. And it was just like, wow, this place is awesome.
Different bird.
Kind of like UCF, man. They're just in a great recruiting background. They don't have to go nowhere. They can stay in a 30, 40-mile radius and get very good players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Duke had to pay the shit out of Darian Minster to get him out of there. And he was the third string quarterback going into camp.
And guys, look at this. They're only like 35, 40 minutes from Mississippi. So you got it's a lot of Mississippi kids.
Oh yeah.
2 kids that play for me and my junior high team that are playing down there right now, and they love it.
Yeah,
they love it. It's not flashy. It's not flashy, guys, but it's clean. It's clean. It's very
program, man.
It's just a good program, man.
Yeah, it's come a long way since Willie took over.
Oh,
no doubt. You like the throwback there, Sharp? Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, let's finish this up. Just kind of last kind of thing, the stuff on the SEC 9-game schedule. Do you expect it to happen, Shawty?
Yes.
I expect it to happen, but I really don't want it to happen, to be honest with you.
Yes and yes.
I want it to happen. I think that I want it to happen because I think that you need to preserve these the rivalries are important. I
Oh
think it's more
yeah,
important than any of it.
Jason, I agree with you on that. I 100%. I just look at
Yeah.
the longevity of
That's why I
of
said it was a
yeah,
gamble on the
yeah.
I said it's kind of a gamble for the SEC to do it because unless
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 we're
they get
guaranteed.
and they are gonna get those guarantees though. That's the thing. So because you're gonna get the 4 guaranteed games in the playoff, which again, I don't agree with that. If there's something that I don't agree with, it's those 4 auto bids. I don't mind 2. I don't like the 4.
So let me ask you this. So with that being said, if we move to the 9-game schedule, how much longer you think we're gonna keep in the conference championship?
It'll be done.
It'll be done. Yeah,
It'll be
that's
the
too
last
many
one.
games. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
So because they're gonna do playing games, it'll be
Right.
the 3, 6, and 4, 5 starting in 26. If it
Well, if
goes
that's the
that way.
case, I would rather play a 9-game schedule because to Coach's point, I was just giving him hell earlier, but to his point, I would rather not play that conference championship against another top tier team and get beat up and go
Yeah.
into the playoff limping. So I would
Yeah.
rather play that.
Not only limping, let's say you lose that game and it causes you to be out of that 4. That can happen.
Mm.
Because you actually got let's just say you had 2 losses coming into this thing. You go to the championship game, you lose. Now you got 3. But now you tied with 3 other teams that got losses.
But are we talking about the 12 team or still the 4-team format? Because 4-team, I agree with you. With 12-team,
4 is what I'm talking about.
Okay, fair enough. Got you.
Yeah.
Got
Definitely. I'm like, no, I don't even want to play it.
you. Yeah.
I mean, Alabama, I remember one year, and just before this, Alabama didn't win the championship, ended up winning the national championship because it hit them just right by not playing in the championship game.
Shit, I think it just happened to us about the year before last, right?
Right. Same thing. So that's what I'm saying. Hey, sometimes it really worked out. Yeah, it worked out better for y'all. It worked out better for Alabama not to play in that game.
Like Bob say, like FSU kind of fell victim to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, come on. That's it is what it is.
Yeah.
You don't if they don't play in that championship game, ACC championship game, then people don't see how bad they are without Travis.
It was bad. It was
You
bad.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't see how bad they are without Travis, and now maybe they get a bid, get a couple weeks to work on some things different. You don't have half the team opt out, and now you got a better game. Not saying they're gonna win the game, but you would have had a better game. And you got to the point where, hey, we just finna go show everybody we should have been in there. That's what y'all did, and just it was crazy. And to me, it was unfair for Georgia not to get in that year. That wasn't fair. That wasn't fair at all.
No. Yeah, and Bob was like, well, what about wouldn't it help with situations like, you having a death schedule and UT getting the JV? Not necessarily. I mean, in theory, you're going to play every team. You're going to play every other year, except for your protected rivals. You get 3 protected rivals. Oklahoma's will be
then it rotate.
Texas, Missouri, and we heard Florida before. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being LSU.
I think it would be LSU.
I think before they were talking about it when
it would make no sense for it to be LSU.
Mm-hmm.
It would. Oh yeah, and I mean Oklahoma. I would tell you that we want to start beating them if that's going to be our yearly. We hadn't beaten them yet, so it's just been bad. We've got a problem with LSU, but hopefully you do it this year. Who knows? And I think that's kind of turned itself into one. There's no love lost there. I think Alabama hates Oklahoma right now, but they're not good. But they're going to keep their rivals, just like you guys are going to keep yours. So Florida makes sense because they don't have a natural third rival, right?
Florida,
they're missing one. Yeah, it's Tennessee and Georgia.
Yeah, it's Tennessee and Georgia.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
No,
Kind of Ole Missy too. Kind of
no,
Ole Missy too now.
yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Kind of Ole Missy too now.
LSU's kind of got a rivalry with them too, but
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I was thinking maybe LSU.
Yeah, man. Yeah, bro.
the way they're but LSU's they've built some kind of thing with A&M, which whatever.
I don't
A&M
know.
likes to think that they're rivals with LSU, which is kind of weird. But A&M's gonna definitely gonna play Texas, and they're probably gonna play Arkansas every year. They've been playing Arkansas every year. So who's their third? I think they're gonna have to lose one of them. They're gonna have
I
to lose
don't.
one of them because they're gonna have to keep. And then LSU has the Mississippi rivalries that they play every year. Those are one of their teams that they play every year too. They
Yeah,
play both.
Mississippi State. Believe it or not, Mississippi State and LSU go at it. I mean, State
Yeah,
have been good, very, very good lately. But ever since Dak Prescott went down there and beat them,
yeah.
it's been
Well, look, they
a
had that
deal
7
now.
overtime game and shit that when
Yeah,
Coach O and them that year. I mean, that was crazy. With when Leach first got there, that was
yeah.
a wild ass game. Again, I don't know who it's going to be. I know it's going to be Texas and Mizzou for sure. Which I don't love the Mizzou one because Oklahoma fans don't look at them as a rival.
I would rather have Texas A&M.
Oh,
I'd rather
Texas
play
A&M
Texas.
ain't having that. And
But no,
they're
I'm
big
just saying
team,
I would
they're big
rather have
team.
them than Mizzou. Is what I'm saying, bro.
Me too. Me too.
That's all I'm saying.
But A&M's pissed off about A&M. They're mad about the whole thing. They don't love it. They did not want Texas or OU to follow them into that league. They did not want it. That's why they leaked it, because they were trying to knock it out. And it went to show that nobody in the SEC
Backfire
gave
on
a
'em.
shit what they thought.
Texas A&M just seems like they're in limbo in this conference. Like I just don't know where I know I like the coach, but I'm just talking about in terms of the optics around them. They
The
just seem like
same
they're in
fucking
limbo,
program
man.
has always been,
Yeah,
brother.
it's
It's
like what are
always
they?
been in limbo. Always.
But here's the thing, though, Shorty. They have all the resources to do
Mm-hmm.
whatever you need to get done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Somehow,
Texas
man.
8-4, bro. They are Texas 8-4.
Yeah.
Is it like the AD or something? Like to your
No,
point,
this
they
goes
got
back to the
everything.
40s. Shawty, this goes back to the 40s. This is how they are.
Mm.
They are little brother. That's it. It's always been that way.
All that oil money they got, it
Man, it ain't just that. Look at the players
The cult, man.
that they had.
Hey, man. You know how it is at some places. You just
Man, what was the
look at it at Okie Light. Okie Light
what was the coach
swears.
that what was the coach there that they got fired from Florida State? What's his name?
Oh,
Jimbo.
Jimbo.
Jimbo. If you go back and look at Jimbo classes, man, Jimbo had the same class that Alabama and Georgia had. He had the same type of athletes. They were 1, 2, 3 for about 4 or 5 years right there. And he couldn't do anything with it, man. And he won 8 ball games is all he did.
Yep.
I mean, that was his best. And to be honest with you, you had other coaches that was at A&M that got fired for less.
Well, Jimbo had that big ass contract.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, what's his name? The one that had
Kevin Sumlin
yeah,
had a better record.
yeah, Kevin had a better record. Now Kevin had a big buyout too, it was like 11 mil or something like that, but it wasn't
It
nothing like
wasn't
Jimbo.
80. It wasn't 80.
Jimbo like 80, yeah, I think
Yeah,
Jimbo went down 10. It was like 10 mil every year or something like that. But at
yeah,
one point, it was 110 to buy him out.
man, that was crazy. That was crazy. And it just those were things that I mean, you put yourself in that situation. They had all that talent, and if they didn't have to buy him out, they probably could have got another head coach, and then they'd probably been in a better situation.
I think that Elko's
Because he had the talent there.
but I'm telling you guys, this is Texas A&M to a T. This is who they are. It doesn't matter where they are or what time of the world we're talking about. They have had years that they're supposed to be this. When Mike Sherman was there, and they had Mike Evans, and they had, they were good. I'm telling you, it doesn't fucking matter. They do what they do every year. It's like Okie Light. Okie Light is scared to death of getting rid of Mike Gundy's sorry ass because that's just who they are. They're like, oh, we can't get a better coach.
Yeah, they
He
can.
went 0-9. He went 0-9. And that's the same kind of shit that they'll tell you at Texas A&M. It's
Dude,
weird.
Here's the deal. If they got rid of him, they could really do well.
You're talking about Gandhi?
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
the thing about it is they could do well in the Big Ten.
He's a dead man walking. Unless they go and miraculously win a natty.
Because
Governor Stitt's gonna fire his ass because he's about to become the president there when his governorship's over with.
Yeah, I heard about that. But
the governor of Oklahoma.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Mike Gundy was about to come governor.
Oh, no.
No, the governor's gonna become the president of the university, and he's the first order of business, from what I hear, is to cut that fucker. And there's some other shit that's been going on with Gundy that it'll all come out in due time. It's
yeah, but here's the thing with being able to recruit. They got the facilities and they got a little bit of money too, man. So there's no way they shouldn't be able to compete in the Big 12. They should be top 3. They should be top 3 in the Big 12. If you get rid of Gundy,
sure,
and then you're looking at something.
Neilio's got it right. G.J. Kinney would make them a power. G.J. Kinney's one of those dudes too. That's another one of those coaches that if Venables didn't make it, I would be all over the G.J. Kinney train. Let's get him.
Yeah, you had 2 new teams from two different conferences come in and supplant you. Like you were supposed to take the lead and step.
Yes, and that's what everybody thought. That's what everybody thought. Well, okay, here's their chance to, be the top dog. And man,
is anyone else having trouble hearing us, or is it just Sooners for life? Give me a 1 if you can hear us.
I mean, I think that particular program is just a situation where you're just settling. Like I don't understand it from that point. You just settling.
But that's what I'm saying. It's honestly, that's exactly what A&M is. Now I think Mike Elko's a hell of a coach. I do. I just don't know that you can overcome that.
Yeah, I think you can. I think coaches can.
They've never done it. Just go back through the history and look. They just don't do it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Jason. I understand what all you saying, like they got some kind of gloom and doom over them. But if you get the right person in there at a program, that logo is not going to make a difference. If you get the right person in there to do what you need to do,
it's hard to change it's hard to change the thought pattern of certain schools, though. Those
kids don't know that. Those kids, they're not buying into that. They're buying into I'm coming there to play for Elko and we're going to win. That's what they're buying in because.
Well, I think Elko's a good coach. If they're going to do it, we'll see.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't expect it. I'm just telling you, go back through the history. They've had good coaches. But
I know the mindset of the kids are not like that because, the Jernigan kid, the linebacker. You'd
be surprised, my man.
I know because I got Jernigan kid to play linebacker for me last year. It's there now.
They've had really good players there all throughout their history.
I know it. But what I'm saying is their mindset is not like that, Jason. Their mindset is not like
they got something going on there.
I mean, there's a lot of schools. It's a lot of schools hadn't won. They got a lot of money.
But that's the thing is, like, honestly, though, there's always times that, you're going to have ebbs and flows no matter who you are as a program. Right. The best ones, they've never ebbed or flowed. They've never flowed. It's always an ebb. It's always 8-4, 8-4, 8-4.
Yeah.
It's just what they do.
Okay. I get it. I mean,
and the cult could have something to do with it. I don't know if it's a cult thing. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of shit that goes on.
I think I agree with both of y'all. I mean, the facts are it's kind of what you're saying, Jason. They've been 8-4, but I am a big component of if you get the right person, things will change. It's just about getting the right person.
Okay, so like I think we would have found out if say a guy like Lane goes there. Because he's going to turn things around probably as far as the way of the mindset. Because he did it at Ole Miss, right?
Lane has sneakily been a good coach.
Well, he's
underrated, bro. He's underrated.
Here's the deal about Ole Miss. After Hugh Freeze, Hugh Freeze wasn't a bad coach at Ole Miss.
He was
Not at
good.
all. He was good. So what happened was Lane saw, okay, I don't think if Hugh Freeze did not have the success that he had at Ole Miss, you don't get a Lane Kiffin going to Ole Miss. Because Freeze showed that you can win here.
Listen, if Freeze, if you didn't have the NIL issue, like if Freeze was there in these times or times like they were then, Freeze would have never left.
Well, even the scandal would have they would have covered it up.
Well, it wouldn't have been no scandal. Wouldn't have been no scandal. He could have paid him, and that he was getting in player that you needed to win.
Well, yeah, Freeze got caught with the Jimmy Swagger deal.
I
So
thought he got caught up with the kid from Buford, giving that kid, the D tackle from Buford, all that money.
Well, that man, they that blew over. It was the scandal with the female.
Okay.
That was what got rid of him. You know, he was supposed to be a Bible toting preacher type guy, and then he ended up, in a room with a little chick. So it is what it is. That allegedly. So but but what I'm saying is, you take that type. He made the number 3 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
He had a bunch of draft picks. So, okay, they get rid of him. Matt Luke, Matt Luke is a hell of an offensive line coach, but he's a good old boy. He's one of theirs, so they planted him to clean the program up, and then Lane saw it because he was over there at Alabama playing against him, and he saw it. And he was like, you know what? I can go to Ole Miss, and I can win at Ole Miss because they got that old money.
See, and I think he looked at it as a stepping stone job at first. I don't know that he would leave unless it's a perfect job.
Oh, it was a stepping stone job because he'd have took the Florida job in a heartbeat, but he won't take it now. He's cemented now. I mean, his son
went to a small pond where he could be a big fish, and it turned out that it's actually worked out much better than
it was a bigger pond. It was a bigger pond than what he thought.
Right.
Ole Miss is a big program. It's a good program. From basketball to baseball to, just all in all. And then they got old money. You talking about people having old money, they got old money.
Like Lane, and to your point, that was to your point, actually, like getting the right guy in. Like Ole Miss, in my opinion, has been a program that was kind of like teetering in the middle, right? It was just about getting the right guy. And once they got the right guy, which is Lane Kiffin at this particular point, they good with him right now. So Lane can be his own worst enemy. Like if he win another 10 games, that means the expectation change.
Yeah, so we were talking about this the other day. They have 10-win seasons all time. He's got 3 of them.
That's what I'm saying. If he get another 10-win season, then expectations change, and that's when other teams start coming in trying to poach Lane away. And also now Ole Miss,
but Ole Miss can pay him though. But they can pay him though, bro.
Well, I'm just talking about the culture change in the program. You go from being what people thought was a middle tier team to now not everybody, but a lot of more top tier recruits want to go to Ole Miss, and now you're keeping those players in state as opposed to them going out of state.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing is right now they don't want to lose a big fish in Mississippi, and here's the thing too, Lebton got the same way. Leb is aggressive as hell right now. Coach Levy.
Okay, Leb, guys.
Yeah, Leb. Everybody called him Coach Leb. Leb is the same way. They're not They just got kids back that went to other schools. They gotta
play. They gotta play your boy Kamario Taylor. They don't need to play Blake Shapen.
Yeah. They're playing for us over it. Trust me. They're playing.
I'd start his ass day one. Fuck that. Blake Shapen's terrible.
He's not great, but like I said, I think they'll hold off playing. I think they'll hold off playing Taylor, man. I think maybe the first 3 games just for getting his feet wet.
I'm cool with that. But I think
for the end of the year,
he's good enough that, and you don't have to have expectations for wins or whatever because you don't have them anyway. So why not let him get in there and go? You said it on your show when I asked you. You said, "Yeah, I'd play him."
Yeah, I'll play him. I'll play him right now. But I know the mindset of that staff, they like gonna give him a couple games, and that's just how I feel about it. But back to the situation with Lane. I mean, his son is moving back here. Matter of fact, he's here now. He played for me last year. His son played on my 7-on-7 team,
Yeah.
and his daughter's back here. Man, this is home now. Now he still has his house in Florida that he flies back and forth, and it kind of works well for him. He loves the beach, but this is work. That's home. This is the office, and it works for him. And I don't think there's another job in the country that can come open that Lane's gonna put his head in for.
What?
I don't
Yeah,
think
I think
there's
he
another
will. I
job.
think I can see
I
him.
mean, what other job in the country that somebody's on the hot seat that he can go to?
Oh, well, that's
I
different.
think he'd go to. I think he'd go to Oklahoma. I think he might go to Florida.
He's not going to Florida.
I know he'd go to Alabama.
Why
That's
would-
the only job that I see he would leave Mississippi State for. I mean,
He would go to
Ole Miss.
Alabama in a heartbeat.
He would go to Alabama in a heartbeat.
He would.
He would.
I think he would go to Oklahoma.
Trust
too.
me, man.
I think he'd go to Oklahoma too.
I don't think he would. I think he got it made there.
I don't know that Oklahoma wants him. I'm just saying. I feel like
I don't
he
think.
would.
I don't.
You forgetting the main thing that all coaches have, and you probably got it too. What we talking about, Jason? What all coaches have? That big thing that they have.
Ego like a motherfucker. Hell yeah.
Egos, man. You trying to tell me Lane Kiffin, depending on what school, now to your point, now you talking about coaches on the hot seat.
Can he win at Ole Miss? Probably not.
There's some jobs he'll take, trust me, if it can't.
But dude, I don't think he'll take the Florida job because Ole Miss, dude, they got money. They're going to spend the money.
Yeah, but they're not like Florida, bro. Come on,
dude. Yes, they are when it comes to money. The old law school money in Mississippi, man, you can get out of here with that, bro.
Recruits itself, though. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on a minute. What I'm saying is the difference is that you've seen Florida. Florida knows they can go win an Natty. When they hired Lane, if you'd have told everybody in the Ole Miss fan base that they were going to have 3 10-win seasons, and that's as far as you're going to, they would love that. And
I get that part. I get that part. But here's the deal.
It's not the same thing, bro.
Yes, it is too. Because Lane, you got to realize Lane is getting older. Lane is getting older. He's getting more stable now than he was in his earlier years.
Okay.
So here's the thing with Florida. You go to Florida, we saw it with Dan Mullen. You go to Florida and you say this, that, and the third. But Ole Miss is right now giving him everything he wants. Not saying Florida's not going to give him that, but you got to change everything if you go over there. You get to a certain age where you don't want to do that every time. Arbuckle or a young coach, yeah, Lane is teetering in his 50s. He don't, you gotta put some of that into perspective.
But I get it.
Nah, that's not young. Arbuckle is young, 29. That's young.
Well, that's actually
you got a lot of coaches. That's not unheard.
Head coach in D1 at 29.
Dude, Lane Kiffin was at 26.
Again, that's an anomaly.
But that's what I'm saying. There are young coaches out there that's in their early 30s. But when you're in your 50s, just think about it. I'm not talking about just age. I'm talking about how long he's been coaching. He's been coaching damn near 30 years, bro. You get older, you get it. I'm finna be double nickels. Once you get a certain age,
I'm not that far behind you.
Hey, look,
who you think you talking to? We all in the same boat.
But what I'm saying, once you get to a certain age, it's kind of like, man, I ain't got time for all that. You kind of change that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm all right or wrong. What is some things that 5 years ago you'd have been like, man, I'm gonna do it. Right now, you'd be like, what? Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
I don't disagree with you.
Now, I do agree with that. I think that he's got it. He's got things at Ole Miss to the point that there's really no reason for him to leave.
Exactly.
He can definitely, probably play out his career if they just stay where they are, or even kind of close to that.
Guys, I think the NFL is his next jump because I think he still wants to prove Yeah, trust me,
I
man.
mean, maybe not. I don't mean
Yeah,
maybe.
his NFL,
It didn't
and
work
it's not.
out very well for him before, but that doesn't mean it can't.
It
I just
can't.
don't think his personality fit the NFL. I just don't think he fits the NFL.
I do now. It does. I don't think it did back then when he was with the
Right.
Raiders.
He's
But I
grown
think
up a little bit, but
he's
only a
grown up
little
a
bit.
lot.
But only a little bit, man.
Just a
Come on.
little bit, Trevor. Just a little bit.
A little bit.
He's still immature.
Bro, did you see him on
Nah.
the Vaughn show? It was great. He was
Dude, he just
Look, Lane like me. He Peter Pan, man. He ain't gonna never grow up.
out
Hey,
in the
look, bro.
streets and shit.
Hey,
out in the
he-
streets.
he's one of those guys, man, that you know, he a hard book to kind of judge, man. To be honest with you, when you meet him,
He's a different cat,
person.
man. He's
He's
a
a
different
different cat, man. You wouldn't think
I like Lane, man. I like
once
him.
you could talk to him for 20 minutes, and then you turn around and see what he does on Twitter. You're like, that ain't even the same guy that I just talked to.
Did
That's
they just have a kid, Benji? Sark just had a baby. Oh Lord.
I don't know, man. Shot getting it in.
His wife is fine as hell.
He just married that lady, the stripper girl. I shouldn't have called her stripper, but she was.
She's not a stripper, dude. She's
I
not.
think she was a stripper, though, right?
No,
She was.
No. No, she wasn't.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me.
No, she wasn't, bro.
I'm sorry.
And you know what? I'm
I'm
all for Texas slander in here, but I can't do that to Sark's wife. That ain't right.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I apologize, Sark.
The brand has finally returned.
Hey,
Your brand.
Yeah,
I think he's looking for it. He's trying to find it.
Don't finna look it up. I'm trying to tell you.
She wasn't.
Oh,
There's
man.
no way.
Oh man, look, hey.
She was a college sprinter and is in
Hey.
high fashion, not a stripper, a sprinter.
Hey, it worked out for the billionaire. What's his name? The Mary Eve, the rapper.
It never works out, bro. It never works out.
Hey, it worked out for them.
Thinking of Banks. Yeah, you're thinking of Banks.
Banks.
Damn it.
What are you talking about?
What the hell? It's who's that other coach? Who are you talking about, Benji? Where did he coach at? Some funny shit. That's some funny shit. Oh, don't get all butt hurt, Captain Crunch.
I'm not gonna shout it, tickle me, boy.
Texas. And you. Shot here. You are.
Oh Lord have mercy. That's my laugh for the morning, bro.
I promise I thought I heard something about his wife was a stripper.
Yeah, sprinter, not stripper.
Oh, Banks, the special team coach. Okay. He is married to a stripper, right? Or he was married to a stripper.
Ooh.
Their special teams coach at Texas.
I'm in love with a stripper.
Yeah, and I mean they hang out at the strip club quite a bit. That's where their lineman was headed last week when he got arrested.
They say they got the best food there.
Yeah, the best food.
Best wings. I'm being honest with you.
Wings and a thigh.
Oh, yeah, it's the special team coach.
Yeah.
I see it right here. Okay, all right.
The roll your boat coach.
None of them put that man's wife on the pole.
My bad, sorry. I bet.
None of them put on the pole, y'all.
She's fine as hell. I'll give her that. She's fine as hell.
Whole baby and everything. My
whole
bad.
baby and everything to put them on the pole. Lord have mercy.
The pole assassin, Jenny says. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh,
that was
man.
funny.
Oh, that did it for
Hey,
me
man,
right
we
now,
corrected it. Relax there, Krusty. Calm down. We corrected
He's a
it.
Texas fan.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Texas fan. Old Captain Crunch. He's all butthurt now all of a sudden. He never gets butthurt about anything. Coach Carl says, hey, I love strippers. Why not? What's not to love? You know, everybody's got, hey, man, they're just supporting single moms going to college.
Man, that was a documentary when I was playing ball at Alcorn. There was some girls from Grambling, and they was in a nursing program, and they was driving all the way to Houston, Texas, to strip to make money to pay for nursing school. It was on HBO, and them girls two of the girls are doctors right now. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy, man. So, hey, look,
That's a
hustle is a hustle, man.
It's a stepping stone job. You know?
Yeah, it was a stepping stone job. They didn't want to do anything in Louisiana, so they should drive away from Grambling all the way to Houston, man, to work on the weekends. I'm
Man,
like,
I've known a
wow.
few strippers, man, myself. I'm just saying, you just turn them into housewives usually. That's all I'm saying.
Hey,
And I'm
man.
not even the one that said this shit. I don't even care. I'm just the one that I corrected it. So
Right.
relax there, Captain. Shit.
So they got you as
He's taking all my strays. You taking all my
I
strays.
ain't catching him for very fucking long. I'll kick his ass out of here. I'm out of here anyway.
Oh, man.
I gotta get to work, fellas, so we gotta get, but I appreciate you guys jumping into the show. It was fun stuff. And again, we're gonna have some more of these lists coming up. I wanted to get with you guys anyway, for sure. Shawty, if you want to jump in on this too, I want to start breaking down some of these position groups over the next couple of months.
So actually, tomorrow I'm gonna put out a thing tomorrow. You guys are more than welcome to chime in. I'm thinking about doing a plus and minus on position groups of your own team, or doing best position groups throughout the country, like top 3 position groups throughout the country.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
I definitely wanted to break down the position groups for the SEC for sure.
Okay.
So, and I mean, maybe we could do just like the top 10 position groups in the SEC or something like that. We don't have to go through 16 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it would be a good exercise for like where we feel like it's going to head, right? As far as like how the season's going to break.
That'd be cool.
Okay.
And
Well,
Jason,
let me know.
And Jason, before we get out of here, man, I just want to, for if anybody listening got a nephew or any kid that it's camp season coming up, and we still have the camp at Jackson State, man. We had Charles Woodson signed his son up yesterday, which was big. You talking about a
Hell yeah.
Hall of Fame guy. So we got a lot of schools coming out, man. Oh yeah, man. So
gotta get him on the show. Come on.
Yeah, so he signed his son up. His son has an offer already to Ole Miss, man, but he's a good looking kid, man. So look, y'all can go hit me up on Twitter, Marcus Dent 93. I got the link,
It's all in the description.
It's pinned on my page and everything. So we got over 45 schools right now, man. And I tell these parents, come build a relationship with these coaches. You never know where these coaches are going to end up at, especially if you got a middle school 9th grader or some 9th and 10th grader guy. You're trying to get out there. This is the place for you to be at. So just had to throw that little plug in there.
Anytime, brother. You're always welcome to do it. You already know. And the mega camp stuff, I think that we're about to do some more stuff on that too.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday we'll be back. We'll be back to do that for sure on Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow night, me and Coach. Possibly we could have other people as well. But Neilio, thank you for the super chat once again through Venmo. Coach Ricks, thank you for your super chat that you just gave us there too. Happy Monday to everybody. Hey guys, I appreciate everybody coming in and we're gonna keep on keeping on, man. We're enjoying it. There's gonna be some stuff coming down the pike too, man. I'm working on I've got my business plan out and ready to rock and roll. Shout out to Sharp and Coach Sean and Jonathan Lewis, man. They're doing some new stuff. Jonathan Lewis is moving to Tuscaloosa to cover Alabama football for
it's a good deal.
Bama Standard. So I mean, really good stuff for John Lewis. I mean, he's done a hell of a job. But shout out, I've been loving the new, and apparently Ty's coming back to the Friday night show. So you guys got to get over there and check them out. Ty Hayes will be back. The triumphant return of the Ty Hayes. So make sure that we get over there, check them out over there on the Bama Standard. Great content coming out. Hey, Coach Smook hit 3,000 subs the other day. Love for him too. All our people are just killing it, man. Just killing it. Shawty out there killing it on Just My Damn Opinion. You guys ain't over there watching that. You want to talk about some fun? He just talks about whatever the fuck. Just whatever. It's I love that show. I haven't been on it in a while. I'm gonna have to pop in on Tuesday.
Get over there and check you out.
Or Wednesday, on Wednesday. Yeah.
Coach, just put your mouthpiece in, man. No telling what you might hear.
Yep. Bring your drinks or whatever you smokes, and you're good to go. Good stuff. All right, man. Loving it. Sharpshooter, thanks for coming in, my man. Hey, man, y'all are killing it. You're killing it, my guy. Hey, you just hit 800, yeah? 800 the other night, I heard. So good for you, Sharp. We appreciate you, man. All right, man. We're going to hit it on out of here. We'll see you all on I got to find it first. Shit. I'm missing something here.
Peace up, A-Town down.
Always.